G'day everyone, I'm Johnny Pollard and it's episode 3 of Fuel TV's exclusive presentation of the 2006 BMX Games. Matt, it's going to be off the hook.
We have Vert and Flatland on today's episode, and they're probably two of the most diverse portions of BMX. We've got the guys on a 60-foot wide, 14-foot high vert ramp blasting 10-foot airs, and we've got guys spinning around on a very flat ground, almost looking acrobatic and gymnastic, and it's crazy.
All right, let's talk vert first. We've got Tim Wood, Matt Fairbairn. First time these two guys have competed against each other in Australia. What can we expect?
I mean, Tim Wood and Matt Fairbairn, to a lot of people, maybe a little bit unknown, and vert in Australia is not a big thing, but these guys have been going off independently all around the world, and their skills are incredible. They're blasting huge, and this is the first time they're going to compete together on an Australian ramp, so we're going to see some fireworks.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And also Flatland, Simon O'Brien, the defending champion, he's been dominating flat probably for the last 3 years. Is there anyone here that's going to be able to give him some serious competition?
Well, there is. I mean, we're blessed by Michael Steingraber, one of the world's best progressive flatlanders from Germany. He lives out here 6 months of the year now. He loves the summer. And we've also got Shane Badman from South Australia, along with a lot of young guys coming up from Tassie and all over. So who knows what we'll see. You've got to stick around.
All right, well, before we get stuck into things, let's have a look at some highlights of last year's event.
Was it you who expected to rise up to the top without being tested? Hold your own, you see with scope. Clear vision, got control, remote. Well, here's the lowdown. You come here shaking and move around, kick up dust like it's a showdown. Roam around like you've got no aim, because this is the time when you can just let it all hang out. Real thing got to do his own mask. Hip hop roots, we hit notes like Joe Pass. Hang with these cats, I break to first class. These souls will ever last. You won't ever know.
All around the world we get down to guitar sounds and beat drums. Speaking different languages, we're talking the same tongue. So jump when you're young and rest when you're old. Holding on to the visions and decisions out of both. Some say that's pitiful, as if I give a fool like you a chance to go to school. You say that's fucked, I think it's cool. I put my soul in these rhymes today, and botanics use all their soul when they come to play. To stay with us, we live in this itty bitty Parsons.
Here we are at the Monster Vert ramp, with Tim Wood taking us into the vert experience. From the rolling at 16.5 foot straight down before hitting the facing wall at warp speed. Good vert riding is all about pump and flow. Good pump equals big air, and good flow is keeping it smooth, avoiding that coping and catching as much transition as possible. Hanging up from 6 foot plus airs will leave you in a world of hurt. So pump that transition as fast as you can, keep your eyes on that coping, and you too might go as big as Tim Wood. He'll be rocking out hard with Matt Fairbairn on the vert. Let's check it out.
Whoa, hot, too hot to hold, this mic control, past that old goal.
It's time for the big boys on the big ramp to come out and play. The Vert Jam session in the BMX Games was held on the Monster Skatepark's massive vert ramp, 14.5 foot high, 2.5 foot of vert, and a 7 foot roll-in. The format of this comp was a jam session only, meaning no qualifying, no finals. Just the boys riding and putting down the big runs. The open format allows riders to relax and focus on stomping tricks, not just linking together one perfect run. For so long, if you mentioned Vert BMX in Australia, the only name that came to mind was Tim Wood. However, in 2006, it was so great to see not only other competitors, but also a diversity in the styles of riding. Unfortunately for Tim, he couldn't quite enjoy the new level of competition because the day before the comp he aggravated an old ankle injury, and it was only moments before the competition that he actually decided to ride.
Yeah, I didn't have the best preparation prior to the competition. I was doing shows on the same ramp for the big day out and unfortunately landed a no-handed 540 really hard, really low on the ramp, and I've just recovered from a broken ankle and had a plate and 10 screws put in it, but landing that hard really put a lot of pressure on it.
With Tim's decision to push through the pain and ride, it meant that there was going to be a competition. And this guy, Matt Fairbairn, was Tim's biggest threat for the top spot. Over the last few years, Matt's gone from a lone BMX rider living in Newcastle and driving to Sydney every day to ride the nearest vert ramp, to being a regular on the international circuit and even making the top 10 at the Gravity Games in America.
Being a vert rider,
There's not that many other riders out there to ride with, so during the week it's usually just me by myself or maybe one or two other guys, so it's good to get a few guys in and have a good session.
In more recent times, Matt relocated to England to further his vert riding, training every day with the likes of Simon Tabron and Zach Shaw. His move has definitely paid off. This is the first time that Tim and Matt have competed in an Australian competition. Both are good mates, but are also seasoned competitors, so when the helmets go on, it's game on.
Last year's vert competition was the only other vert I've ridden at all. So yeah, I'm really concentrating on that at the moment. I'm concentrating on not riding it, and I think it works well.
Regardless, Luke Fink, as usual, is sure to apply his unique street style to this discipline and keep Matt and Tim on their toes.
I like watching Luke ride vert. He doesn't ride it like a normal vert ramp. He's so technical, which is good.
Rounding out the field of 6 riders, some new faces to the BMX Games, Chris Edgar and Michael Walsh. Both Chris and Michael are from Brisbane and ride with Tim Wood in his epic backyard ramp compound.
I've always wanted to ride a vert since I was a little kid and that, but never had a vert ramp, so it's my first time doing it.
Field TV viewers might remember Chris Edgar from the Heavy Metal Heroes coverage. He was the guy who sent that double backflip over the fun box, landing on his face, probably one of the heaviest looking slams you could ever see in BMX. The last rider in the group, BMX photographer Ian Robinson. Ian is new to vert and is still finding his feet on this massive ramp. Chris Edgar kicked off the jam session. He's put many hours in at Tim Wood's compound and it showed as he flowed the ramp with small but clean setup airs. He rolled around with a few lip tricks like this alley-oop double peg grind before sticking a flare, his favourite trick. Another guy who rides at Tim Wood's compound is Michael Walsh. Michael's had a few more years on the ramp than Chris and looked comfortable floating 5 foot out. His first run was clean, highlighted with a turn down air and a one-hander no-footer. As we said before, Ian hasn't had much time on the monster vert ramp, but he still had a good flow and aired the channel. Luke Fink likes to have a bash at everything and generally does it pretty well, even though he doesn't always know what's going on.
I only got up just before the competition. I was eating breakfast and they're like, hey, vert started. I'm like, ah.
When Luke finally got sorted, he threw a bar spin to X up, a turn down, threw his back pegs downside over the coping, then went burly tech with his ice pick to bar spin. All class with a lot of arse. With Tim's tweaked ankle, there was a big question mark as to whether he would even ride before the comp started. Tim is always a professional, and with the crowd and the arena set, he strapped up his ankle, threw on his pads and hiked up the platform. Starting from the roll-in, he looked smooth and comfortable, no signs of injury. Setting up with high airs, Tim linked together a run of X-ups, turn-downs, a no-hander, back-to-back flares, and then fired off this banger, a no-handed 540.
That's about it.
If Tim does something good, then I'm really stoked on him, and at that, like, I'm not really like, oh, I've got to beat Tim or whatever. I'm just like happy for what he's doing, and then that motivates me to do something else.
Matt Fairbairn rides with a different style to Tim Wood. Tim loves to rotate and get upside down, whereas Matt loves to use his bars and throw tech combos. Matt's first outing was full of high setup airs before throwing a stylish suicide. A bar combo of X up to bar spin to X up, launched into a big old 540. A low flying tail whip. With Tim and Matt, both good mates, the jam was going to be fun, but no less a serious battle.
Soft in the middle and out 'cause you're hard. Learn to be true and master that art. You don't even say what you mean. We'll stop talking shit and come with the clean. I even start to think you wither away until I come around and ask you to play. 9 to 5, survive, stay alive. Deep down we all need to try.
Hang around, we've only just got started. Each rider's had a roll and they're just getting warmed up. Up after the break, we'll bring you all the action, but before we do, we asked Tim and Matt what it was going to be like competing against each other for the first time on Australian soil.
I'm excited. It's a good thing to actually get us to both ride together because we motivate, we work off each other. So when I see Matt do a good trick, you know, I want to go harder, and I think it's the same for you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like both myself and Tim, a lot of the times we do a lot of our riding just by ourselves, and to get a good session with another vert rider and to ride with Tim, because Tim's a really great guy to hang out with, and the level that Tim rides at is so motivating, and being good friends helps as well, because you know, Tim will say, oh mate, you need to do this on your 540, or you know, I'll say, Tim, you know, you're not going high enough into this trick or that trick, and it's good. Really
it's actually quite nice to have a relationship, you know, a friendship outside of the competition field, but when we both hop on the ramp, it's all on. Like, for example, last weekend we were competing in New Zealand, and Matt, I actually dropped in first and straight into a flare, and Matt's first comment was to me, when I saw you do that flare, I knew it was on. So that's the way it works, and it's always awesome to have that friendship that be able to turn into something else, you know, a healthy competition when you're on the ramp. Yeah, I'm really excited to see that there's some young riders participating in the amateur event. It hopefully not only motivates other young people, but you know, kids in the crowd might see it and say, hey, you know what, that isn't so bad. It's not so hard or so embarrassing or anything like that. It's not what it's about. It's about being in it. And I think more than anything, the crowd was just revved up and impressed to see young riders on such a big ramp. To see a kid which is knee-high to a grasshopper on this thing, which is 14.5 foot tall, is just amazing.
Go outside and be on your way. Take me away another day. In the guise, this is our life.
We're ripping. That young kid from Perth, he's only 14, Aaron higher than me.
Someday you join us too. This is what we love to do. This is what we'll do forever. Maybe someday you
doing his first bar spins and stuff, and just dropping in. When I was a 14-year-old, I wouldn't have dropped in a 14-foot ramp. Insane.
road tripping up and down the coast. Thank God we brought that esky full of coke. Blow out the door and play some tunes.
Whoa, hot, too hot to hold. Native in the jam with the flow.
Alright, we're here to bro down and bike down with Matt Fairburn, vert rider extraordinaire. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, Matt. How are you?
Not too bad. Tell us a little bit about your bike.
Yeah, run the Steve McCann frame, so it's good to ride another Australian guy's
Definitely.
bike. Yeah, so that's a good frame. The back end's nice and short, which I like, which is good, not just on vert, for mini ramp riding. Run my seat higher than the normal trends these days. The white pedals, I just put them on because I had the idea that when you do tail whips, it's easier to see the pedals. I like to keep my bars sort of straight up and down. So
along the fork, or
no, sort of perpendicular from the ground. Yep. Animal tyres, I just started running them. They're a little bit thicker than the Primo Comets, and yeah, nice and smooth, less rolling resistance.
100 plus PSI for you?
Yeah. Like when I'm messing around, it's usually about 110. Then when I'm at a comp, I put in about 130.
The 4 pegs set up still?
Yeah. I like messing around on mini ramp, and I like doing lip tricks both ways on vert as well. So there's no real special vert setup anyway. Like it's just, you know, every rider's different, and you've just got to work out what feels good for you. You know.
Matt, well, best of luck at the BMX Games.
Thanks, Matt.
Hope you do well out there.
Cheers.
It was only about 2 weeks before the Asian X Games in Korea that I made the decision to actually get over there, and it was one of those events that I really was willing to put everything on the line, and so I knew I was going to do a 900 or I was going to try a 900. I had no-handed 540s, I had turn-down flares, had Superman seat grabs, and a number of other variations that I've done for a while. That comp, I was extremely nervous, but it just seemed to work for me.
Tim's 900 was probably the best 900 anyone's ever done. Yeah, it was like, what, between probably 9 and 10 foot out, landed that far below coping. No one does that. Yeah, it was amazing. It was so motivating to see Tim ride. And yeah, it was good.
Unfortunately, I went from a really good sort of position at the Asian X Games and riding really well, and just the stress and the whole event in America didn't go my way. I ended up crashing in my runs and ended up with 10th spot. But after that, I thought, well, you know, nothing else matters now. I've sort of blown my chance. But I mean, a lot of people, and my wife, she commented, well, you haven't blown it, you got into the top 10 in the world sort of thing. So there's a positive way to look at it too. But they had the best trick competition and I was satisfied with my performance there, pulled the 900 and a number of other tricks and ended up in 6th place. So that was, you know, it was kind of a nice icing on the cake to sort of do well against these guys, which I'd looked up to for so long. Oh, yeah.
Like BMX bandits, I never planned it. Shit's gone candid. Ever seen a crew raise the roof one-handed? Never tripping over myself with double standards. Troubles come all at once, but can you manage? Landed here, we move the crowds like fanfare. Invading through your territory by land, air, or sea.
These MCs spread smooth like cream cheese. Gee, it's easy to breeze through these rap beats, so please step back, listen.
The Vert Jam session, Tim Wood versus Matt Fairbairn. Mate against mate, state against state, blah blah blah. Sure, they want to win and do their best, but in the Aussie scene, it's always friendship and good times first. Matt's next run proved this. He had a battle on his hands to beat Tim, but it didn't mean he had to go out mental with wall-to-wall bangers. He got his groove on, then laid down some stylish tricks. Check out this cool-as one-handed flatty, then later cruising an alley-oop 540.
Always was one for that sweet song. Headstrong, but it's all too late when the music's gone. And it's all too
I'm just stoked to know that I've got someone who's going to push me in a competition and not feel as though I can just go through casually. And I think it's the same for him, because he knows, you know, when I do a flare or if he does a 540 or whatever, the game's on. You know, we're pushing each other. We both want to win, but we also both respect each other's tricks and the effort that we put in.
With this in mind, Tim was pushed and put together a run that showed the full range of his trick list. From turn-downs to one-footed X-ups to switch-handers to old-school no-handers, even this Superman seat grab. Still not ready to cruise though, Tim dug a little deeper and pulled out his new banger, a turn-down flare. I think he did want to win. Reminding the crowd it wasn't just the Wood and Fairbairn show, Michael Walsh went smooth and big on his setup airs before putting down a one-handed no-footer, a turn down, and then slid out on this tail whip attempt. Edgar was next to step up and put together a run that wasn't as high as Michael's, but nonetheless had some impressive moves. Just sticking a no-hander over the channel, back-to-back flares, and unlike Michael, he stuck his tail whip. Once again, Luke Fink was in his zone. Now that he'd found his groove, he threw down his tricks. An opposite air over the channel, a bar spin at height, a downside ice pick, another bar spin, and a tweaked turn down.
They kill it, they go high, I just muck around and have a bit of fun. That's all it's about, isn't it? Just have a bit of fun. Do what I do, they do what they do, I guess.
After Tim's last run and that turn down flare, he could have called it a day, walking away, totally stoked that he was uninjured. But with Matt on the deck and the crowd psyched, he pushed on for one more, throwing this big fat one-footer, another 540, and then he went flare crazy, throwing 4 flares back to back, apparently winning the competition with Chris Edgar, who prior to this had the record. Everybody's looking for that something to satisfy.
Tim was pushing me. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous. There was one trick I wanted to do, the bar spin 5, so I was a bit worried about that. But it worked out, so it was a good time.
Having seen all that Tim had to offer, Matt had a chance to step it up. His last run consisted of a one-handed flatty, a clean 540, a bar spin, and then saving his best till last, a bar spin 540. This trick is so burly. Imagine missing the bars mid-rotation 6 foot out on a 14.5 foot vert ramp. Heavy. After Matt's last run, time was officially called. However, with the jam session format, it allowed for one last trick for each rider. As always, Fink had something in mind. He slipped and got to know how hot the hard surface gets on a summer's day. Michael Walsh also had an itch to scratch and attempted his first flare. He almost got the rotation down, but lost the landing. Regardless, he was totally stoked to walk away. Fink wasn't content and wanted to go at it again. He went for the Fufanu on the extension and this time fell even harder, losing some skin this time.
It feels like someone's held a lighter here and going, ah!
With Fink's Foof attempt and mixed flare, Matt Fairbairn got inspired to get back up onto the top of the ramp and try something new. No one knew what he had in mind, so when he stuck a bar spin to turn down, the crowd went apeshit. Now Fink never leaves the ramp with the trick unpulled, so he kept going and going till finally he stuck the Foof on the extension.
Didn't think I'd be able to do that. It's probably the biggest thing I've ever foofanooed, like straight up quarter pipe.
After all Fink's effort and burnt skin, he only managed to get 5th. Chris Edgar flared his way into 3rd. Matt Fairbairn was narrowly beaten and finished 2nd, with Tim Wood winning the battle and taking out the top spot.
Josh Irvine's teammate, Matt Fairbairn. Yeah, Tim Wood the winner.
Although Tim won, both riders were just stoked to land their tricks and have a great session.
Yeah, leave me hanging, mate, that's all right.
Rounding out the group was Michael Walsh in 4th, Fink in 5th and Ian Robertson in 6th.
I'm just personally satisfied. I threw out my turn down 5, got a no-handed 540 in, did a few other variations, used the ramp a fair bit, which is traditionally something that I don't tend to do, and 4 flares back to back. I held back on like the 900 and some other tricks that I've got, but it just wasn't the right ramp for it, and not the perfect opportunity if I'm not feeling healthy. It's not worth the risk.